Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I took a little break last week because I was in California visiting my sister. I actually did film like a get ready with me for the airport and like me packing and stuff, but I thought it was kind of boring, so I didn't post it. So yeah, I took a little break, but we're back and we're gonna be here every Friday, so make sure to subscribe. And I also wanted to mention that if you follow me on Instagram at all at the Audra Edit, I'm going to be posting probably today or tomorrow, so it'll be up by Friday, that I'm just going to take down that account and use my main account that I've always had. When I first started like creating content and stuff and wanting to do this, I was nervous about like just posting on my regular account. Like I was nervous that people wouldn't want to see like fashion content, but now it feels weird to have it separate, and it feels like I don't know what to post on which, and it's kind of like redundant, and yeah. So I basically wanted to feel a little bit more natural, and I'm interested in more than just beauty and fashion. I mean, there's so much more to, I feel like, me and what I want to share than just making like a beauty page and just having it on beauty. Like it felt limiting. So I'm just gonna be on my main page. It's just Audra Benish, and I've had it forever, and just post what I want and post what feels comfortable. And yeah, so just wanted to mention that. So don't follow me at the Audra Edit anymore. Follow me at Audra Benish, and I'm gonna be taking down that account. So I just wanted to mention that. But for today's video, so I don't know if you know this or not, but I do have my esthetician's license. In Minnesota is where I went to school. So I thought it'd be fun today to pull out my textbook and go to the chapter about makeup application and follow the steps and try to do my makeup how it says I'm supposed to do my makeup. Because I remember when I was in school, there were so many like things that it mentioned in here, and even videos I watched that weren't, I think it was made maybe by the same people that made the books, but we would watch the videos, like my friends and I, and we'd be like, this is terrible. Like this is not how people do makeup anymore. And it's like techniques that we just don't use anymore, and it's not like they're wrong or that looks bad, it's just like they're kind of out of style. So I remember like taking tests and stuff, and the tests were based off the book. So you'd answer a question and it had to be what the book said, but like that's not, we know that's not how we do makeup anymore. So it's funny because it was like almost hard to answer the questions, like what step comes first? How do you do this? Like, and they weren't, it's not actually how we do makeup now. So it was hard to tell if it's like wrong or if it's just wrong because the book says it's wrong or what. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of just go through and do my makeup how it says I'm supposed to do it, see how different it is than how I do my makeup now. Because there's definitely things about like contouring and for your face shape, and that's really cool and awesome, and I know makeup artists, professional makeup artists, use those tips to be able to do makeup, but like on a day-to-day basis I don't take that into account at all. So we'll see. It might be a long one because I'm going to be reading a little bit and kind of trying to figure out what it says to do, so just bear with me. But I think it'll be fun, so let's get started. Let's start with foundation. So it says, when correctly applied, foundation creates an even canvas for the rest of the makeup application. Skin tone determines the selection for the foundation color. Skin tones generally are classified as light, medium, dark. Undertones, warm, cool, neutral. Warm tones have yellow undertones. Cool tones have blue undertones. Neutral skin has equal amounts of warm and cool tones. Okay, so it says for matching, you're supposed to put it on your jawline, which is something I learned first from working at Ulta. So I know that my foundation is never matched. Does anyone's really like fully? I know how hard it is to shop and go and like see what foundations to like actually pick your foundation. It's very difficult. But, and it's funny because technically I don't want to be the exact color. I always pick warmer than I think I am. I'm usually pretty neutral, so I go neutral to warm. I never pick a cool toned, even though sometimes I feel like it could work. but I know I go too warm usually with my foundation, but I have tried doing something a little bit, sometimes the neutral or the cools look too cool and then I feel washed out. I feel like I don't have like life in my skin, so it never actually perfectly matches, but you know, sometimes it's just how you like it and how you feel comfortable too. So anyway, I'm gonna put my Milani foundation on. I've been liking this one. Even holding it up to it, you can see it's a little bit more yellow. This one is just natural beige, it says. So I'm gonna put it on the little beauty blender. This is the Milani beauty blender, or sponge, I guess. Which I love more than the beauty blender now that I've been using it more. But let's just put it on the jawline. And it's funny because it says in here too, it says you can either apply your foundation with a disposable makeup sponge or a brush. Sponges are banned in some states, so consult with your local regulatory agency, which I thought was kind of funny. Like, I didn't realize that. So I'm gonna put it on my jawline and just kind of do the test it says to do. So it's not too bad. It's a little bit more yellow in person, but I don't think I did too bad. I'm just gonna apply this all over the skin. It doesn't really have any other pointers. It's kind of just our base. So I'm just gonna apply it. This sponge you can really use wet or dry. It's so soft that if I'm honestly too lazy to go like wet it, it's really not that big a deal because it's so nice. So I do like it more a little bit damp, but just saying, it kind of works both ways. This foundation is honestly so great. Like, it just looks so much like skin. It looks like you have nothing on, but it looks like my skin's just like nice and even. I really do like it. Very impressed. If you didn't see my last video, it's a full face of Milani, so this foundation is in that video. Love it. Love their stuff. So for concealer, I'm going to do the Makeup Forever HD, the self-setting concealer. So in here it says most cases concealer should match the tone of the foundation. So I know that if you're covering a blemish, then yes, it should be, of course, the same tone. But what I was always told and taught in other way, like by other people, was that you should go a little bit lighter under your eyes to brighten. But in here it says concealer that is noticeably lighter than the skin can appear obvious and can actually draw attention to the problem area, such as dark circles. So I guess technically you're not, according to the book, you're not supposed to do lighter at all. It says you can use a lighter concealer for highlighting and a darker concealer for contouring. Why did I say it like that? But in general, when covering blemishes and dark circles, you're supposed to match your skin tone, it says. So I definitely don't do that. I go a little bit lighter always for under my eyes, and then most people, I feel like day to day, probably don't have one that matches and one that's lighter. So then I end up using my lighter concealer on blemishes as well, which it makes sense that it does make them pop more and cause your eye to like go to them more. So that's a good tip. I feel like I'll try to, like, I knew that, but you know, laziness. So mine's a little bit lighter than my skin tone. I don't think I have one that isn't. Well, This one might be a little, this one's just a little bit cooler than this one, but it might match my skin tone a little bit more. So I'm actually going to do the Too Born This Way sculpting concealer instead. I'm going to try to do what the book says, so I'm going to try to do as close to my skin tone as possible. Basically it says to use it sparingly, and it says yellow and green tone concealers must be well blended and covered with foundation. I feel like that's kind of like a random little note, but I guess it's saying like if you're using kind of more color correcting, this is way lighter. Then yeah, if you're using more color correcting concealers, then they must be covered by foundation to make them blend in. And then of course it says you can use a brush or a sponge. I'm just going to use my sponge again. And you can also mix. I mean, I know a lot of, especially professional makeup artists, celebrity makeup artists, blend most of their base tones. I mean, you kind of have to, because you're never going to have all the, you're not going to carry like 100 different shades of foundation. So we kind of have to learn color theory and the color wheel to be able to mix. So it's definitely lighter. And I can see when I do this and when it's lighter, I can tell that it's not necessarily helping me at all. Like you can see how like my dark marks or my dark circles here are almost like highlighted and they're almost popping out more. So I feel like that's maybe a tip that I'm going to be taking with me a little bit more. I've always picked my concealer a little bit lighter, and I think I'm going to try to get one that's a little bit more true to my skin tone, especially for covering up blemishes. It really just makes it pop more. So that's something that I will be taking with me. Also, that's something that I literally told people like when I was working, like when people would ask me for like a shade match in like a concealer, I always was like, oh, it should be like a little bit lighter than your skin tone to help brighten your under eyes. Maybe that wasn't true. Oops, sorry. So next they talk about contouring and highlighting. So there's a section that kind of talks about like balancing the face. So basically they're saying like that an oval face shape is the ideal face shape, and that you're supposed to kind of contour and highlight to kind of create balance and like symmetry, and then try to get that like desired face shape. So then they have this graph of all the different things that like could be wrong with your face. So there's like round square face, triangle face, like the different face shapes, and there's like double chin, how to kind of get rid of that, how to help with a receding chin or a protruding forehead. So very like, you know, a little intense. Says highlighting a feature emphasizes it, and contouring or shadowing minimizes. But it says you're supposed to use like the same color family. So if you chose like a warm toned foundation because you have a more yellow undertone, then you're supposed to kind of go in that same family and just go like a couple shades darker or lighter, but not switch up like your tones at all. So definitely something to keep in mind. I'm going to try to do this technique with the round or like square face, this lady, because I feel like I can definitely, like in some pictures, look like I have a square face, and I've never really done anything, tried to contour to like help that at all or anything, because I mean that's like what my face looks like, so I'm like okay with it. But let's try to do what they say to do. So it says use two foundations, light and dark, with the dark shade blended on the outer edges of the temples, cheekbones, jawline, and the light one in the center of the forehead, down the center of the face to the tip of the chin. So basically getting rid of everything, like trying to darken everything here, back, and kind of bring out this. Instead of using like different shades of foundations, I don't obviously have like a deeper shade of foundation because I'm not a deep shade, so I've never done this before. So I'm just gonna use like my contour palette from KVD Beauty and use that to contour. So it does mention too, you can use, you know, powder or creams. So it kind of has it shaded in the picture from like here down and back is all darker to kind of get rid of this like more squareness here. I don't know. It also says for a double chin to shade under the jawline and chin over the full area. So a lot of times when you look, you can kind of see, I don't have like a double chin, but you can like see, you can see my chin kind of peek out underneath. So I'm also gonna add some here to diminish that, like it says. Does my face look more oval? I think it kind of worked. But then I'm going to take the concealer down the middle, like it says as well. Okay. And I think it definitely brought out this area and kind of made this like kind of diminish, kind of like not be so prominent. So I don't know, let me know what you think. The only other contouring that it kind of like talks about that I wanted to try was the nose contouring. So they have one for a wide nose and one for short nose. So apparently you're supposed to have a skinny nose and a long nose or something like that. So I would say I don't have a short nose, I definitely have a long nose, but I do have wider, I guess I would say. So I'm going to try the wide nose one. It says apply foundation of a shade lighter to the center, apply dark foundation to both sides, and blend together. Like I said, I don't have a darker foundation, so I'm just going to use my contouring powder. So I did already put the lighter down the center, so I'll just take a smaller brush. I take this little fluffy Morphe blending brush and go down the sides. It has like a little diagram, and try to kind of make this a little skinnier. I never nose contour, so we'll see how this goes. I feel like it might make my nose look really long, which is something I don't really need, so I might put a little at the edge here too when I'm done. But it basically shows to do like the whole side of your nose. And then it kind of goes up here as well. Wow. Okay, I need to blend that out big time, but it definitely gives the illusion of being, and I have this like wonky bump down my nose like too, so I don't know if it like is helping it or making it look worse. I'm gonna put a little at the tip of my nose because it's long, especially when I smile, it like goes down. So to kind of shorten it that way too. And then I'm gonna use my sponge and try to blend that out a little bit. It's looking a little intense. I might add one more little thing of concealer down the center just to kind of clean up. I use this little itty bitty Milani sponge to make it a little bit more precise. And just really try to like make it look defined. But I think it's weird like seeing it on me. I think it helped. I mean, it definitely made it look skinnier. I'm just afraid that it made it look like longer, like even longer than it was. Okay, so the next section is about face powder application. So it says you can either do a powder that matches your skin tone or a translucent powder that doesn't change the color or the tone of the foundation. It says it sets in the foundation, finishes the makeup, and it also says that it's usually applied after the foundation before the rest of the makeup, which I feel like when this was written, and obviously not updated, I feel like creams are a newer thing to use. Like, I know they're not new, but they've become a lot more popular in the recent years, so I feel like that's not mentioning, like when it talks about blush and stuff, it's only talking about powder blush. It doesn't mention creams. So obviously when you're using a cream, usually you put the face powder after the creams, not before, so it doesn't, you know, mention anything about that at all. So that's definitely kind of changed, I feel like. And then it says it's also applied again after blush to help blend and set the blush, which is something I've never really like seen anyone do. So that was kind of interesting. And then it says don't put too much powder, it'll make the skin appear dry and draw attention to wrinkles. And it also says to use it with a brush, which we know a lot of people like bake with powder and they use a sponge. So I think that's kind of changed. When everyone was baking, you know, you use your sponge and you bake like under your eyes and your like contour and everything. So that's something it doesn't mention at all. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It just says to apply, sweep in circular or downward motions, and you can either use loose or pressed powders. So I'm going to use my pressed Charlotte Tilbury little guy. It mentions that pressed products can be turned into loose powder products by loosening it up with a new single-use spatula or disinfected or new brush. I'm just going to take a brush and do what it says, down circular motions. So it says blush gives color to the face and accentuates the cheekbones. Choose a color that resembles the face when blushing. In most cases that is pink to red tone, adjusting for skin color. Yeah. There's lots of blushes out there that aren't your natural blushed skin color. Apply blush just below the cheekbones, blending on top of the bone toward the top of the cheeks. What? The blush domain area is no closer to the nostrils than the center of the pupil, so it can't go past this, and no lower to the jawbone than the imaginary line from the tip of the nose to the middle of the ear. So no lower than that. So basically from here up. And then it says the blush gently kisses the temple area but does not reach the hairline to that region. So really just like here to here, I would say, right? That's what it kind of says. I'm gonna use this Milani blush in Petal Primavera and use a smaller brush just so I can get a little bit more. Usually I'm just like whacking blush on, but I feel like using these directions is a little bit more precise. Then I'm trying to not go anywhere lower than here. And not go up into the temples at all. So for eyeshadow application, it says choose colors to bring out the eyes even if the application is subtle. When applied to lids, eyeshadow makes the eyes appear brighter and more expressive. It says a darker shade of eyeshadow makes the natural color of the iris appear lighter. Lighter shade makes the iris appear deeper. The only set rules for selecting eye makeup colors are they should enhance the client's eyes and color choices should be flattering. I guess I'm just going to do an eye makeup look that kind of enhances and complements my eye color. So I think I'm going to go with something from the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette because it has warmer tones and it has very like orange undertoned tones. So my eyes are hazel, so I'll probably just use that to try to make my eyes kind of pop with the oranges and the reds. And then on another page, it's like how to apply eyeshadow based on like your eye shape. So there's monolid, small eyes, round eyes, protruding eyelids, deep set eyes, close set eyes, wide set eyes, downward sloping eyes, and close set eyes again. Which I feel like I don't really, like my eyes aren't protruding at all. I don't think they're a little bit deep set maybe, but they're definitely not like round, and they're not close together or far together or far away. So I don't know if any of these really like, maybe I'll use the deep set eyes so that I can try to make my eyes pop a little more. So it says, for deep set eyes, use bright, light, reflective colors. Apply light eyeshadow along the crease of the lid. I feel like that doesn't really make sense, but we're gonna try it. So I'm gonna go with Chaser. It's a very light color. And do that in the crease like it says. Okay. Blend in a medium color next to the outer corners of the eyelids. So medium, I guess I'll go with probably the next one over, Sauced. And do that towards the outside of the lid. Okay, I have a medium tone towards the outer corner of the lids. Next it says use a soft color to accentuate the eyes. That's weird. It doesn't say like where. I guess I'm just gonna use this little, it's a little bit it's like a little like pearlescent, this last one. It's called Ounce, and put that on the lid. It doesn't say where to apply it, but I'm guessing that's what it means. Not a very good tutorial. On the picture, it does kind of just look like the person has shadow on the outside. It kind of makes sense, I guess. You don't want to deepen them at all because they're already deep. And then it says clearly outline the eyes along the lashes and then choose a dark shade of mascara. So we're going to go into eyeliner because there is a section just for eyeliner. For eyeliner, it says it just accentuates the eyes. It can be applied before or after eyeshadow. It's applied to the top and bottom edge of the eye on the outside of the lashes, not the inner part of the eye. Applying it on the inner mucous membrane can be unhealthy for the eye and can lead to infections. Interesting. that would suck. This is a Milani brown eyeliner. And I'm just gonna do really close to the lash line. Use short, even strokes like it says. And not go too close in to the membrane. And then go on the outer part of my bottom lash as well. And I'm gonna blend this out too. So it doesn't need to be perfect. I'm just gonna take a little thin brush and blend it out then, because I always like it to be a little smoky. And then it says to curl the lashes before mascara. And it says to apply it to the top and bottom lashes. I'm going to use the Better Than Sex mascara. I haven't used it in a really long time. I've been kind of doing the Bite Beauty one. I feel like it's a little dried out, but I'm going to try to use it up. I feel like it's a little lame that for deep set eyes, that's all they said to do. Because it implies that if you have deep set eyes, all you can do is do like light colors and a little bit on the outer side, and that's it. And I get that's like so your eyes can pop or whatever and not look so sunken in, but I feel like that's very like limiting. Like, oh, you can't have fun with any kind of color or any kind of dark colors at all because your eyes are deep set. That's why we don't listen to what society tells us is pretty, right? We just play and have fun. So for eyebrows, they have these graphs. Look at how teensy. Look at how skinny those brows are. Yeah, we don't do that here. But basically it says before filling in eyebrows at all, make sure their shape is correct and tweeze any hairs that need to be tweezed. So then it goes into like, you know, shaping and reshaping. Square face will appear more oval if there is a higher brow arch. So I guess I could do the square face one. My eyebrows are pretty straight across, but I might make the arch a little higher for like the squared face one. So I'm gonna make that arch just a little bit higher here to kind of follow the guidelines there. We're just gonna go with our normal pencil. I'm gonna use the Precisely My Brown pencil in 4 and basically just fill it in, but do that higher arch to help with the squareness of my face, since we're trying to look a little bit more oval today. Good enough. They look a little bit more arched than they normally are. So for lip color, it says consider your overall makeup design, evening or daytime, natural versus dramatic, etc. To choose your lip color, choose a lip liner that coordinates with your natural lip color or lipstick. It should not be dramatically darker or brighter than the lip shade. To refine or correct the lip outline and help define the lines, use a small amount of foundation or powder on a small brush to erase and blend the lined area as necessary. So I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk because that's closest to my natural lip color. Apply that before lipstick. And then I'm going to use MAC Spirit satin lipstick. It's more of like a neutral, warm neutral. And I'm going to use concealer like it says to do to kind of clean up and define the lip shape. So I'm just going to use like a teeny little, just like a little Morphe brush, M421 brush, and some concealer. And kind of clean up underneath, and then my little Cupid's bow. So it kind of cleans it up a little bit, makes it look a little bit more defined. It didn't talk about like brow gel for the eyebrows at all, so I didn't add that, and it doesn't talk about like a setting spray or anything, so I'm gonna skip that. So this is pretty much the finished look based on what it told me to do. So obviously these are kind of like guidelines and techniques that, you know, like makeup artists I think kind of use, and obviously there is an art and like a way to make people look a certain way, or to make certain places, certain features and things pop, which is amazing. But I don't think there's any rules to makeup, and I think you should just have fun and use whatever colors you want and do whatever you want. So just wanted to say that, like, it's fun to look at this, and obviously, I mean, it's in a book, like I learned it, like I got certified on it, but I don't really think there's any rules, so do what you want and do what makes you feel good and beautiful. Plus, we don't all want to be this socially acceptable version of ourselves either, so that's all I gotta say. So let me know what you guys thought. I thought it was very interesting to read what it says and kind of compare it to how I do a makeup application on myself, and see kind of what was different and some tips that I maybe could use, or maybe you could use, that are actually helpful in it. So let me know what you think. So that's all I have for today. If you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see my upcoming videos. Otherwise, I will see you next Friday for another new video. Bye bye.